Welcome to WRAE. I'm Elizabeth.
And I'm Abigail. We are the anchors of WRAE.
We'll tell you the names of the amazing reporters from WRAE. First, we have Abigail,
Aiden,
Elizabeth,
Rishi,
and Rihanna.
So, let's get right into it.
Let's hear my best friend Abigail and her story about J.K. Rowling's pen names.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Have you ever wondered how many pen names J.K. Rowling has and why? J.K. Rowling is the author of Harry Potter. She has written books for adults too, including The Cuckoo's Calling. Her husband is Neil Murray. She has 3 kids, Jessica Aransas, Mackenzie Murray, and David Murray. J.K. Rowling has many pen names. Her first and most common is, well, J.K. Rowling. It stands for Joanne Catherine Rowling. Her name, Joanne, and her mom's name, Catherine, plus her last name, Rowling. This is the pen name she used during the writing of Harry Potter. Her second pen name is Robert Galbraith, which has recently been discovered. The discovery of Robert Galbraith's creator had been in the making for years. They have been trying to figure out who is the amazing author behind Robert Galbraith. Scientists finally cracked the case using modern technology to decode the words and grammar. It all added up to the famous author J.K. Rowling due to her expansive vocabulary and great punctuation. Have you ever wondered why J.K. Rowling uses these pen names? I did, so I researched it. When she started writing Harry Potter, she thought that little boys would think it was lame to read an action book written by a girl. So she changed her name to J.K. Rowling. Why would she change her name again? Well, because she is known for writing children's books and wanted to be taken seriously as an adult murder mystery author. That's it for now. I'm Abigail from WRAE, signing out.
Wow, I didn't know that J.K. Rowling had so many pen names. Thanks for the interesting news, Abigail.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Now, let's get into the next news report. Next up, we have Aiden talking about the plane and
boat disappearances
of the Bermuda Triangle.
Hi, I'm Aiden, and I'm here to talk to you about the mystery of the Bermuda Triangle. If you don't know what the Bermuda Triangle is, then here's some background knowledge. The Bermuda Triangle is known for the disappearances that occur in it. Many disappearances of boats and planes have happened in the Bermuda Triangle. The Bermuda Triangle is a triangle located in the Atlantic Ocean. Its points are Bermuda, Puerto Rico, and Miami, Florida. One of the first strange things that happened in the Bermuda Triangle was in 1492. Christopher Columbus sailed through the Bermuda Triangle, and suddenly he saw strange lights light up in the sky. At the same time, his compass started acting weird. But one of the most famous disappearances happened in 1945. On December 5th, Lieutenant Charles C. Taylor and his crew left Fort Lauderdale for a training flight over the Bermuda Triangle. But then, suddenly, they lost contact with the crew and they were never found again. Later on, a rescue mission occurred and the rescue vehicles were lost as well. No one knows exactly what happened to the crew. Maybe it was paranormal activity. Maybe it was a hurricane or storm of some sort. Another famous disappearance that happened in the Bermuda Triangle, and the last one I'm going to talk about today, is the disappearance of the Mary Celeste. The Mary Celeste was a boat found drifting through the middle of the sea with no crew aboard it. Some of the crew of the Ellen Austin boarded it to see what was going on. But when it came up through a cloud of fog, the crew that had just boarded it had disappeared. This is why this ship since then has been known as the Ghost Ship. There are many other disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle, but that's all that I have time to talk about today. Thank you for listening to me about my report on the Bermuda Triangle. Back to you, Elizabeth and Abigail.
That was so interesting, right, Elizabeth?
You're right. That was pretty interesting. Nice job, Aiden.
Next up, we have my best friend, Ellie, with the history of astronomy. That sounds intriguing.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth from WRAE, and I'm here to talk about astronomy. Before we get started, I just wanted to ask you if you know what astronomy is, why is it important, and what is the next big discovery in astronomy. If you don't know, well, that's why I'm here. Now, let's get started. Many people ask, what is astronomy? Well, I have that answer for you. Astronomy is a branch of science that studies outer space, focusing on celestial bodies such as stars, comets, planets, and galaxies. People also ask, why is astronomy important? And I also have that answer. We live today today in a universe that is rapidly changing, at the same time that our understanding of the universe is. To understand some of the larger questions like, how did the universe begin, or when will the universe end, we look to astronomy for guidance. Astronomy allows us to look at the night sky with some confidence in what we are actually seeing, instead of just guessing what those pinpoints of light are in the sky. Also, before I started studying astronomy, I used to ask this question: what is the next big discovery in astronomy? That answer which I have and I can also give you. One interesting discovery that I chose was that dark matter exists. This dark, fascinating, and mysterious matter is one of the greatest mysteries. It is thought to account for 90% of the matter in the universe, but its existence has only been demonstrated only through the Hubble Space Telescope and computer images. That's all I have for today. See you next time on WRAE. Elizabeth out.
Wow, I can't believe astronomy originated in ancient Greece.
I know, right? It was really hard to research. So up next, we have Rishi talking about the history of YouTube.
Have you ever wondered about the history of YouTube? Not its watch history, but its own history. YouTube has been around for 14 years. What has happened since then? Keep listening to find out. Steve Chen, Chad Hurley, and Jawed Karim were three young university students at the Indiana University of Pennsylvania. They used to work at PayPal, but left later on. There weren't many video share sites, not even video sites at all. But the three were inspired to make a video sharing site by a disaster in Indonesia during December 2004 and at the Super Bowl halftime 38 disaster. On Monday, February 14th, 2005, the domain www.youtube.com was activated. Yes, it's still the same domain. The headquarters were located near a pizza restaurant and a sushi bar. Jawed Karim left YouTube, but not before he made the first YouTube video, Meet Me at the Zoo. The quality was at 144p, but the years went on and the quality improved. In 2006, the massive tech company Google requested to acquire YouTube for $1.65 billion. They said yes. Many celebrities came to YouTube, so did companies. Content creators can get paid based on the number of viewers that watch their ads, while having to stand the ads, of course. In 2010, YouTube came up with a line of videos for every year called YouTube Rewind, where they reflected back on the year. Around 2014, most content was made by normal people, celebrities, and companies. But YouTube was getting more corporatized and several things happened. First of all, companies were not being very happy that their ads were being displayed on videos they described as non-advertiser friendly or inappropriate videos, which YouTube considered, but the creators were not getting enough money. They remade the algorithm and things are better, but not good enough. They made a new YouTube Rewind, but it became the most disliked video on YouTube. While YouTube is still struggling, it is still as great as it is. YouTube has many great creators and will continue to stay strong. Back to you in the studio, Elizabeth and Abigail.
Wow, who knew that the idea for YouTube came from the 2004 Super Bowl halftime disaster?
Last but not least, we have Rihanna talking about a great place to visit, Mass Mocha.
Hi, I'm Rihanna and I'm going to tell you about Mass Mocha. Mass Mocha is a converted factory in North Adams, Massachusetts. It's one of the largest museums of contemporary visual performing arts in the United States. It's one of the coolest museums you'll ever see, at least in my opinion. The complex was built by a business that operated on the site from 1860 to 1942, close to the end of World War II. It was used by an electric company before its conversion. It's a whopping 42 acres of land. There's a whole spot for kids to play. Lucky for my fellow children. It has 3D rooms, music areas, and almost anything you can think of. There's always something like mazes to walk through, like tunnels to walk through. Have you heard of the Ice Bucket Challenge? The challenge at Mass Mocha is a square hole that you jump into. You don't pour water on yourself. You jump into it and it's filled with ice and snow and cold water. I don't have any fun facts because this whole entire segment is all a fun fact. Back to you in the studio.
I did not know that Mass MoCA was one of the biggest museums in the U.S.
That's all we have for today.
See you next time on WRAE. Hello everyone and welcome to SSEC. I'm Bella and this is my partner in reporting, Lexi.
Hi Bella, I'm so glad to see you today for our most epic reports.
We hope you enjoy these educational subjects.
Our first topic is about our nation's air traffic controllers. For this first story, we will hear from Bella. Bella?
Thanks, Lexi. I'm so glad you brought me here to talk to your amazing South School audience. Hello, by the way, I'm Bella. Have you ever wondered how pilots know when to take off? Yes, says Caden, a first grader. Well, welcome to the wonderful world of air traffic controllers. An air traffic controller's job is to tell the pilots where to go, when to take off, when to land, how high to fly, and how fast. Have you ever listened to headphones on a helicopter and heard a whole bunch of letters and numbers? Well, that's the air traffic controller, also known as the ATC, telling the pilot where to go. You may have been to many airports, but have you been to the largest airport in the U.S.? Well, this airport is Denver International. Are you thinking about joining this outstanding union? Well, you don't even have to go to college. College is one out of the many ways to become an ATC, says Mick Devine, an air traffic controller out of Boston Tower. There are three main ways to become an ATC. You could go to college, you could be off the street, which is when you join with no experience, or you can learn in the military, he says. I asked him many questions. The first question I asked him was, is there any special jobs? There aren't any special jobs of an air traffic controller, says Mick. There are three main jobs, though. You can work with the technology, work with the union, or the government. The next question I asked him was, do you remember the government shutdown like it was yesterday? Yes, it increased a lot of stress because I didn't know if I could afford many things many average people can afford, or the risk of being fired because I couldn't pay my court order payments. He said, the government put my life, the flying public's life, and my family's life all in big danger. You might be wondering, what is a government shutdown? Well, a government shutdown is when the government physically shuts down. No laws are passed, and as you heard, some people don't even get paid. What would you say? Well, I went around in my classroom and asked my 5th grade classmates what they thought, and 12 out of 12 people said it's unfair. Crazy, right? No wonder almost 34,000 workers were so upset. A month without knowing when your next paycheck will be? Can you even imagine that? So next time you fly, will you think about the National ATC Department? Lexi, back to you.
Wow, I had no idea the longest government shutdown was this year.
And how badly it affected almost 34,000 workers.
Totally, this was an awesome topic that I had no idea about. Our next awesome topic is by Mr. Aiden.
Aiden is going to be talking with us about the top 5 most played video games.
Aiden?
Hi, my name is Aiden. The most 5 popular video games in 2019 are Fortnite, Grand Theft Auto 5, Minecraft, Tom Clancy, Rainbow Six Siege, and Overwatch. Next up is the history of gaming. In 1972, the first arcade game was Pong. It became the most popular game for kids back in the day. Then in 1977, one of the first at-home consoles was the Atari 2600. The sales reached 27,640,000. In 1978, Space Invaders hit the arcades with 6 million machines popping up all over the U.S. Let's talk about the inventor of the first video game, Ralph Baer. The first console made by Ralph Baer was the Brown Box and Magnum Odyssey. A fun fact is the idea of Pac-Man came while eating a slice of pizza. Pokemon was inspired by a butterfly coming out of its cocoon. Mario was named after a Nintendo's community first warehouse, Lordland Mr. Mario Sledge. PlayStation 2 and Nintendo DS are best-selling. One of the last fun facts in Pac-Man, you can get 3,333,360 points in one game of Pac-Man. Now you know a couple awesome things about video games. Bye!
Wow, at our school, Fortnite is so popular. It's crazy how much the boys talk.
Yes, now on to the next subject.
This topic scared me so badly. My BFF Lexi told me about the box jellyfish. And today, she's going to be sharing with you the deadliest jellyfish in our ocean. Lexi?
Thank you, Bella. The sea wasp is the most venomous marine animal in the ocean, and the deadliest too. The sea wasp is made of protein, salt, and water. To be exact, it is 95% water. This amazing creature only lives up to 1 year, and when it's fully grown, is the length of 10 inches, and width is 10 inches as well. When the floating cube swims by you, you recognize this creature as the sea wasp, or as its common name, the box jellyfish. The sea wasp has flashes of light every so often at night. The sea wasp has 4 extra long tentacles on the 4 corners like a box, except without tentacles. The sea wasp has no gills or lungs, just like many other jellyfish, and also has no eyes. This underwater monster is not vegetarian, so the sea wasp eats small fish and invertebrates, like swimming crabs or prawns. If you're near a sea wasp, it can wrap around you repeatedly and sting you until you're dead. That's very scary. Very, very scary. Scared of swimming yet? Don't worry. The sea wasp lives on the ocean surface in the coastal waters of Australia. Be careful in October through April because they appear more often than other months. That's all for now. Back to you, Bella.
Wow, Lexi, I'm so glad I don't live in Australia, or I wouldn't want to go swimming in that ocean.
It's okay, Bella. I'm glad to.
Okay, well, this next animal was a little less scary.
Don will be telling us about the exotic king cobra.
Have you ever heard of a king but one that is 15 feet long? This king is deadly. Would you like him to rule your kingdom? The king cobra is the king I'm talking about. Here are a few facts about the king cobra. Did you know they reach adulthood by age 4 to 6? 10 days after birth, they begin hunting for their prey. Their venom is potent enough to paralyze their prey. They eat small mammals, snakes, lizards, and birds. King cobras live in the forests and in swamps. They prefer forests and swamps because the humidity and temperature are the same for the most part. According to the Natural Zoo, they spend a fourth of their time up in trees or bushes. They are mostly found in southern Asia. King cobras can live up to 20 years. Also, a female can lay 20 to 43 eggs. Wow, that is a lot. Now on to physical features. The scales of the king cobras are vicious. King cobras are shades of black, brown, gray, and green. Their undersides are yellowish with bands that stretch along the length of their bodies. The color and pattern depends on their age. King cobras share a complicated relationship with humans. After all, would you pick this king to protect you? Now that you know this about king cobras, would you choose this king back to you in the studio?
Now that's a big animal, 14 to 18 feet long.
Unfortunately, this is our last subject for the day. Jack will be telling us about the top 6 fun facts about 6 different dinosaurs.
Jack?
Hi, my name is Jack. Today I will talk about the top 6 cool features that 6 dinosaurs have. The first feature I will talk about are spikes. The Draco Rex was a herbivore who had many different sharp-sized spikes on its head. These spikes were actually lumps of bone. Paleontologists got convinced that they should name it after Draco Malfoy in the Harry Potter books. Next feature I'll talk about is the size. The Seismosaurus was one of the longest, tallest dinosaurs. People thought it was 170 feet long, but they were mistaken. It was found actually to be shorter once they put the skeleton's bones in the right place. This would have made it one of the longest dinosaurs, but it was really only 110 feet long. Another cool fact about this dinosaur was it ate smooth stones to help it swallow and digest plants in its stomach. The next feature I'll talk about are crests that you'll find on the Dilophosaurus. It had 2 crests on its head. It was 20 feet tall. Some people thought it was smaller. It did not have frills and did not spit venom because of the movie Jurassic Park. People believed it had those things, but it didn't. But it's good to believe. The 4th dinosaur is the Colantuoni. This dinosaur lived in Antarctica and had 1 giant crest on its forehead. This was 20 feet tall like the Dilophosaurus, lived at the same time too. Next dinosaur I'll talk about is the Mapusaurus. It was the tallest, largest carnivore ever lived. It was 46 feet long, and when it was a baby, it would fight for parents too. The final dinosaur was the weirdest dinosaur in history. It was named E, and it was the bat-winged dinosaur. It had feathers on its body. It couldn't fly, just glide, and it was probably a great climber too. And it probably ate bugs. And who wouldn't want to have 2 feet long bat dino? Well, that's all of them for today. Hope you enjoyed. Bye-bye.
Hey,
Oh, sorry, I didn't put you in.
E? Is that even a dino? Well, I guess it is.
I love the Draco Rex because I'm such a big Potterhead.
Well, that's all we have for you today.
We hope you enjoyed.
Stay tuned next time for more extraordinary topics.
Bye for now.
Sayonara.
Welcome to BDM TV. Katie speaking.
This is Ella, and today we will be presenting some engaging stories to you for your entertainment.
I hope you all learned something new today. We have plenty of reports to keep you alert.
We worked very hard putting these fascinating articles together, and this is our first of the day. Hope you enjoy.
To begin, we have Tyler sharing his report on R. Kevin Hunt. Go ahead, Tyler.
Hi, my name is Tyler, and I'm going to tell you about someone who is an all-star. Did you know there's a local NFL player who stood 6'5" and 260 pounds? His name is R. Kevin Hunt. This man is a sports hero, but we'll get into his sports career in a second. He was born in 1948 on November 29th in Framingham, Massachusetts, but was raised in Vermont. Then he moved to Londonderry, New Hampshire. Now let's talk about how he got involved with sports before his NFL career began. While in college, he asked the coach of the football team if he could try out for the team, and I guess he did very well, and I do mean very well. Okay, now time for his sports life. He went to Burlington High School in Massachusetts. He played football and baseball for the high school team. During his football career in high school, he had an ACL injury that took place in his 3rd game of his senior year. Unfortunately, that was the end of the road for high school. Then he moved on to college. He went to Dona, Nebraska College. He was an all-star. He had the choice to play in the NFL or the MLB. He was drafted to the Minnesota Twins in 1970 to play baseball. Then he left to pursue football. He was drafted by the Green Bay Packers in the 10th round of the 1971 draft. Then he played for many more teams. He even played for one of my favorite teams, the Patriots. He played in the NFL from age 24 to 30, so that means he played in the NFL for 7 seasons, but he didn't get to play for the first year. After playing, he chose to live a quiet life and became an advertising executive. Sadly, on May 22nd, 2015, he passed away from cancer at age 66. That's all for our Kevin Hunt. Back to you, Katie and Ella.
Wow, that's really cool that our Kevin Hunt got drafted for 2 professional sports. That must have taken a lot of time and hard work.
Yeah, you're right. That is impressive. I couldn't have done that.
You're right. Next up, we have Katie giving us the scoop about 5th grade teachers.
What are some troubles you face being a 5th grade teacher?
Well, I have to say I agree with Mrs. DeFosis because it's hard to fit everything into one day and make it fun and make sure our learners are excited and engaged.
What kind of things do you have to do at home on the weekend in order to teach your class the next day?
There's a lot of planning to make things fun and make real-world connections. There's a lot of grading, figuring out what we're going to be doing in the future, and just a lot of work. But it's fun, and it's worth it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
After these interviews, I ask myself, do all 5th grade teachers have to be the same? No. 5th grade teachers all have their own unique thoughts and ways of teaching. As you can tell, teaching isn't the easiest job in the world, but teachers must love doing it because they are willing to do all that hard work. Did you know that teachers have homework too? Because I didn't know before this report.
Why does there always have to be homework involved? I hate homework.
Well, sometimes there has to be homework involved. Next up, we have Ella reporting on the complete opposite of teaching, extreme sports, which your average teacher would not recommend to the students.
I have put together a list of the top 5 most dangerous extreme sports. The first one I found was solo free climbing. This is when you're rock climbing at intense heights with no safety equipment whatsoever. It's hard to believe that some people actually participate in a sport as wild as this. If you make one wrong move, you would plummet down the cliff or rock to your death. Second is base jumping. You only have a parachute and you are descending from jaw-dropping heights. This is definitely not the safest sport. Malfunctions are common and the risks are too high. If you decide to try out this sport, keep in mind that there is a 1 out of 60 death rate for participants. Third is creeking. It's very similar to kayaking, except you are doing it in steep placing, increasing the risk. The rapids most kayakers would try hardest to avoid at all costs. Some people do it on waterfalls. Being trapped and stuck and being unconscious is often the cause of death while doing this activity. Drowning is a major possibility. Fourth is bungee jumping. Bungee jumping is when you have a large and long cord attached to straps secured to your body. You jump from extreme heights, cliffs, towers, etc. If your cord snaps or malfunctions, well, that would lead to an almost instant death. Fifth is downhill mountain biking. It's pretty self-explanatory, a sport that you would like to avoid if possible. But also, in case you don't understand, mountain bike is when you zip down a mountain trail, trying to go as fast as you can. Try to avoid the constant trees, rocks, and roots. No demonstration this time, for obvious reasons, but how'd you like my extremely awesome report, Katie?
Ella, I told you I wanted you to do a demonstration where you were screaming and flailing your arms hopelessly. Oh, and by the way, that part about 1 out of 60 base jumpers die was so interesting, but upsetting.
I'm pretty sure that's the reason I didn't do one, but would you really do any better? Anyways, let's get into our next report on Walt Disney, presented by Maddie.
Hello folks, my name is Maddie. I am researching Walt Disney. His full name is Walt Elias Disney. He was born on December 5th, 1901. In Chicago, Illinois. Walt Disney had 3 brothers and 1 sister. It must have been hard with 3 brothers. Walt Disney is known and popular for making a studio where he created cartoons and Disneyland. Walt Disney was a paper boy when he was young. Also, he loved to draw cartoons. He took night classes in high school about art. When he was 16, he drove an ambulance in France during World War I. Walt Disney began an animation studio with his brother, Roy Disney. It was called Disney Brothers Studio. Walt Disney started out with iWorks. He also voiced Mickey in the first full-length movie, Steamboat Willie. This film was the first movie with sound and picture. The first length movie that Walt Disney created was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Also, Walt did TV shows weekly. There were kids on his show called The Musketeers that were on the Mickey House Club. Disneyland was created in California in 1955. People call this the happiest place on earth because it has rides and fun activities to do. This place was created by Walt Disney. Eventually, they created Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida. Walt Disney died when he was 65 years old. When he died, people were saddened. He died. The day that he died was December 15th, 1966. People talk about him, and he inspires people every day to keep on working on their dreams. Back to you in the studio.
Who knew that Walt Disney started out with iWorks? Not me.
Yeah, not me either. But do you know who's next? What are they discussing?
Well, this is actually our last report for today. Phew. And we have Joey sharing his interest on Komodo dragons.
Hi, I'm a fifth grader, Joey. Today I'm here to talk to you about Komodo dragons. Did you know that Komodo dragons have 60 razor-sharp teeth that can drive through a deer? The Komodo dragon will stalk their prey before it attacks. But do you really know about these amazing lizards? The Komodo dragon eats tons of different prey. To name a few: deer, pigs, rodents, monkeys, and even birds. And they can eat prey that is bigger than them. Do you know that the Komodo dragon eats 80% of their body weight just in a sitting? The Komodo dragon can swim really well because they need to get food and get back to where they live. They live on Komodo Island, which it is named after them. They dive in the water and do the doggy paddle, and then their tail moves like a snake. It's impressive how well they swim without wet feet. That's all for today. Back to you, Katie and Ella.
Wow, Joey did an astonishing job in his report. It's cool that they eat prey bigger than themselves.
That's it for today. See you later, alligators.
I hope you enjoyed our fantastic newscast and all the awesome reports within.
Toodles! Hi, I'm Catherine. Welcome to the WRLM Newscast with our amazing stories and intriguing content. This is my partner, Caitlin.
Thanks, Catherine. I'm so excited to be here. Our first report by Jade will share information about conjoined twins.
Thanks for that great introduction, Catherine and Caitlin. Have you ever needed to share something? Maybe like a toy or a tool? Well, some people actually need to share a body with someone else. This is a rare condition that occurs in every 200,000 births called conjoined twins. This happened to Eng and Ching Bunker, who were the first set of conjoined twins born in Siam. Siam was the original name for Thailand, and that's why conjoined twins is often referred to as Siamese twins. Eng and Chang were conjoined at the hip. Doctors think that Eng and Chang could have easily been separated with access to modern technology. But since they were born on May 11th of 1811, that wouldn't have been possible. These brothers were very successful and independent in life. They had a long, prosperous life, considering the fact that they were conjoined to each other. Their life came to an end when Chang had a cerebral blood clot and Eng died a few hours later, both dying at age 63 in 1874. Siamese twins can share anything, such as body parts and internal organs that are always the same gender and look similar as well. The separation is very risky and not all survive. Maybe only one twin makes it through, then maybe dies later, who knows? There are plenty of different types of conjoined twins and plenty of different treatments, luckily. Asymmetrical twins are twins that aren't the same. They don't have what the other twin has, or maybe they're growing slower. They might not be as tall as the other one. Symmetrical twins are perfectly developed and both have normal set of internal organs individually. 28% of Siamese twins are thoraomphalophagus, which means they are connected at the top, the upper and lower chest region. 10% of twins have omphalopagus, which means that their bodies are fused to each other at the abdomen, like Eng and Chang. 18% and a half are thoraomphalophagus twins, which means they are connected at the top of the thorax and lower abdomen. Finally, 2% are craniophagus, which means this is the most severe case because they are conjoined at the head. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. Back to you in the studio.
Wow, I never knew that Thailand's original name was Siam. Next up is my partner Caitlin to tell you about the meaning of your dreams.
Thanks, Kat. Have you ever wondered why you have strange dreams about impossible things like flying? Well, here's why. Something is probably going on in your waking life, or you're just using your imagination. Here are some dreams you might have. 1. Being chased. 2. Falling. 3. Dead fish. 4. Failing an exam. 5. Waking up. 6. Snakes. 7. Flying. 8. You cannot run. 9. The dead. 10. Murder. Then I will share an interesting fact after that. Being chased in your dreams means you're probably avoiding problems in your waking life. Falling means anxiety and loss of control in your waking life. The dead fish has a dark meaning. The dead fish means disappointment and loss, but there's a bright side. It can mean growth and potential. Failing a test. If you're a student, then you obviously have anxiety for a test. But what if you still have this dream in adulthood? Well, this means you have a fear of losing your job. Waking up is a common dream, and it most of the time means you're scared of the day to come or you want to be prepared for the day to come. The dream of the snakes means hidden fears or worries, but in some communities, the snake is a good symbol of healing, knowledge, and wisdom. Flying feels really good, and it symbolizes you trying to get over your worries. Your lack of being able to run, which usually means you're lacking self-esteem or confidence, and you probably feel powerless. Dreaming of the dead means you're being influenced by negative people, or you may be a way to resolve your feelings with people who have passed. Murder in your dreams means you hate that person you're murdering, or you're trying to end something important. The last bit of information is something you might not believe, but some dreams can predict the future. It's happened to me. Trust me, it exists. Now back to you in the studio.
That is crazy that sometimes dreams can predict the future.
Next up we have Mason educating you on military dog heroes.
Hi, I'm Mason, and I'm here to talk to you about war dogs. You might think of dogs as cute and cuddly creatures, but some of them have other jobs. There are two common military breeds. the Labrador Retriever, and the German Shepherd. Each military dog has a job. The jobs are the patrol dog, the tracking dog, and the detective dog. The patrol dog stays with their trainer, so when an enemy threatens the trainer, the dog tries to bite the enemy. The tracking dogs use their nose to track down enemy bases. Last but not least, the detective dog. They use their noses to sniff out landmines and bombs. War dogs have to go through a lot of training. They go through tunnels, up stairs, up hills, through jumps, and they practice biting enemies to prepare them for battle. The dogs do so much, but it comes with a cost. Each military dog costs from $20,000 to $40,000, which is about the cost of a car. On top of that money, they wear high-tech gear to protect themselves in battle. Not to mention, it takes 3 to 5 years to train a dog, even though the cost is worth it, because one of them can save up to 1,800 people. Dogs are not just a great help in war, because studies show that just touching a dog can release stress. Most of the dogs that go into war fight in Iran and Afghanistan. Thanks for listening to my story. Back to you, Kat and Caitlin.
Really? One military dog can save more than 1,800 people? Now that is a real hero. Next up is Carter informing us about the mysterious Bermuda Triangle.
Thanks for that great introduction, Caitlin and Kat. Hi, I'm Carter. Have you heard stories of ships and planes disappearing in the Bermuda Triangle? In fact, in the last 25 years, over 80 ships and planes have gone missing in the Bermuda Triangle. But some disappearances really leave me on the edge of my seat, like Flight 19 and the Mary Celeste. Well, one thing you're probably wondering is, what is the Bermuda Triangle? The Bermuda Triangle is a triangle. I know, right? What a surprise. Well, it starts up at Bermuda, then goes down to Miami, Florida, over to Puerto Rico, and back up to Bermuda. The triangle covers about 440,000 square miles and has been guilty for disappearances since 1918, when the USS Cyclops carrier ship disappeared while crossing the Bermuda Triangle. One of the most famous disappearances was Flight 19. Flight 19 was a group of 5 Avenger torpedo bombers that went missing during a test flight over the Bermuda Triangle. Also, the search vehicle went missing looking for them. Another mystery that surprised me was the Mary Celeste. The Mary Celeste was a ship that was found drifting in the middle of the sea with no one on it. So some of the crew members from the Ellen Austin sailed it through a cloud of fog, and when they came out, none of the passengers who sailed it were on the ship. And since then, it's been known as the ghost ship. Some scientists think that the cause of some of these disappearances could be weather, and a combination of crazy weather conditions can create water spouts. When Christopher Columbus sailed through the Bermuda Triangle, he noticed that his compass had stopped working, but he didn't tell his crew. Well, thanks for listening to some interesting stories of mysteries from the Bermuda Triangle and what scientists think. Back to you, Caitlin and Kat.
That is weird that more than 80 ships and planes have gone missing in the last 25 years and were never found. What do you think, Caitlin?
I agree. I think that is weird. Next, please sit back and enjoy my partner Catherine's story about gymnastics at the Olympic level.
Thank you, Caitlin. Bronze, silver, gold. Those are the medals that Olympic gymnasts earn. The first event I'm going to talk to you about is the floor exercise. The floor routines must have dance and a series of tumbling. Depending on what they did for their tumbling pass and how hard it is, they can get a bonus. The second event is vault. On vault, you use the springboard to punch before you hit the table. And when you're coming off, you can do anything you want. Then they have to be ready to land and absorb the landing. Next is bars. There's one bar that is the high bar and the other one is the low bar. And the last event is beam. The beam is just a long piece of wood that has a cover of padding. Now I'd like to tell you about the schedule of a retired Olympic gymnast, Amanda Borden. She had practice in the morning and then school after. Could you imagine waking up early in the morning to go to practice and then high school? Then at 3:30 she went back to practice, which ended at 7:30. When she got home, she went to sleep. Now I'll tell you more about some award-winning gymnasts and their training. Gabby Douglas training has helped her in many ways. One of the many ways training has helped her is she is the first African American to win individual and win all-around, even team, at the 2012 London Olympics. And Simone Biles in the 2016 Olympics won individual and all-around. She was also part of the gold medal winning team and dubbed the Final Five. Simone Biles also is a 4-time world all-around champion.
Simone Biles was a 4-time champion on the floor exercise. She was also a 2-time winner on the balance beam. Finally, she was a 5-time state national all-around winner. And the reason why they're Olympic gymnasts is all because of the training. Lastly, you might be wondering, when is it a good time to start gymnastics? And what should I do if I want to do gymnastics and just have it be for exercise and to get energy out? Well, if you want, you can do recreational gymnastics. It does not matter when you start. You only have to practice 2 times a week. So recreational gymnastics is pretty much just to stay in shape. But you should not start gymnastics any earlier than 2 or later than 13, because it is really hard to get to the level of strength and flex that your coach wants you to. But if you start earlier, it will be easier to get to the higher levels. And that's the end. Back to you, Caitlin.
Wow, those Olympic gymnastics put in a lot of time to prepare for their competitions.
Last is Grace, talking about her great-great-grandfather Ernest Maynard in World War II.
Hi, I'm Grace. Imagine if December 9th, 1941, you came home from school and the newspaper's on the table. It says, Pearl Harbor has been destroyed by Japan. America declares war. On the horrifying day of December 7th, 1941, the Japan attacks Pearl Harbor. The next day, U.S. declares war on Japan. World War II ended in 1945 with 407,000 American soldiers were killed. It is estimated that 70 to 85 million people died because of this war. Millions more were injured. I personally have a relative of mine who was in World War II. His name was Ernest Maynard. He was my great-great-grandpa. He was in the Air Force, he was the cruise engineer, and he flew 34 missions over Germany in a B-24. He died in 2007, a couple of weeks before my parents got married. In conclusion, now there's peace over most of the world. Now, let's hope there will not be a World War III. Now, let's get back to Kat and Caitlin.
That must be amazing that your great-great-grandfather survived World War II.
I hope you enjoyed our stories, and don't forget, this is a WRLN newscast. See you later!